Studio B. It's Chargers versus Raiders week. And I just decided, hey, there's no better week than to bring Mr. Lights Out, Shawne Merriman. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing amazing. It's fitting. The clip that I posted yesterday that you collaborated with talking about this rivalry.
Yeah.
It is one that people in the comments think this rivalry is fading. When I really just think, dude, like, there's no way it can fade. I mean, that division is looking for who's going to take the second seed, and it seems like it's always the Chargers and the Raiders. The Broncos have been kind of non-existent for a while.
Right.
Everyone's fighting for second place with the Kansas City Chiefs. How do you see the rivalry these days?
Well, you know what's funny about the rivalry, and it has changed, but so is the game in times, right? Like a lot of those guys would never be able to get away with throwing stuff at the bus like they did with us. I mean, like the times are just different. What you can say, what you can do. I mean, there were fights, and sometimes during the game, I would look up during the game. I would take my eyes off the game, and I'm looking at the fight in the stadium because that is the kind of situation it always was. So, you know, we talk a lot about the players being softer now. You know, the players aren't softer. They're doing what the game is telling them to do, right? Yeah. Not helmet-to-helmet contact, no crackback blocks, and some of the fullback position is gone. And it's kind of trickled down into that type of rivalry because you can't. Yeah. You can't. It's just a different time.
So you got a couple of like big-time players that are on both sides of the defense. Joey Bosa is a player that for the Chargers, I've always looked at him as – this is who the franchise is actually centered around. Like, you can say Justin Herbert's a great piece to that offense, but I think it was all started with Joey Bosa injecting hope into that team. What are your thoughts on Joey Bosa?
Well, this is my thing. Obviously, he's a great pass rusher, and the numbers show he's a great pass rusher. He got hurt, banged up last year. I think that what people are not talking about enough is, you know, when you got a guy like Joey Bosa, like you expect the most out of every year. You know, I remember having like, you know, 12 sack year or something like that. And it's like, oh, it wasn't all that great, right? And I'm like, this double digit. You know how hard it is to get sacks in the NFL, and you had 12, but it was down from 13 sacks. It's down from the 17 or 18 sacks I had the year before. Right. Oh, he's not playing that well. So I think that same kind of situation is falling with Joey. You know, Joey is still playing well, but you know, they're not playing well as a team, so now it's time to punch everybody in the gut, right? Not just Joey Bosa.
Yeah, when teams are losing, like, you know, and everybody seems to be on the hot seat, including the coach, Brandon Staley, defensive guy. Do you feel like Staley is still in control of that locker room? I don't feel like he's fully lost it, in my opinion.
No, we're not talking about the Denver Broncos situation, right? Like
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. You know, that locker room is they're lost. And I think the biggest thing with Brandon Staley is he's a big analytics guy, right? So when he go for the fourth down, and they already got the numbers clocked out and what they think is going to happen, and we don't see that. And also, too, the average fan don't know of a situation how much time you have to make
those situations.
It comes at you fast. You know, 30, 40 seconds, whatever it is, you got that to look at down and distance, how your defense is playing, how your offense is playing, how much time left in the game. There's a lot of things you got to factor in within those 40 seconds to get back out there and make it happen. So it's easy to kind of jump on him. And yes, you will look at some of those calls as questionable, like, oh, okay, I wouldn't have went for here. But let me tell you, it's the high risk, high reward, right?
100%.
If it works,
you win outright.
Everybody's saying, wow, what a gutsy call, what a great call. If it doesn't, that's the worst coach I've ever seen in my life. And so I think that with Brandon Staley, you're looking at it like he knows that. He knows that last year he's already gotten a lot of crap for going forward on the fourth down at the Raiders game last year at home, right? And doing he knows that. And so what do? You take that risk, and if you make it and it works, it's great. If you don't, then you're going to get the repercussions of not making it.
100%. I'm a huge fan of that. Because the thing I'm most a fan of, one, is like you're always going for the win, but two, you got to remain consistent in those calls. He's always been Mr. Analytics guy, but he's also been aggressive. And the only times I've ever had my gripes with Staley is when he's gone away from that and he plays that conservative side where you're like, this isn't necessarily what I'm looking for you. And, the team, I think, early on losing Austin Eckler, that was a huge gut punch. It really shows how important that running back specifically is to that offense. Do you think with Eckler possibly coming back this week, the team's going to really straighten it out to what we expect?
Absolutely. And, when we talked, there was a lot of talk a few weeks ago, right? It was a big story about the running backs not getting paid.
100%. Yeah.
And a certain part of that, I actually agree. Like, they have a shelf life on their body. Mm-hmm. It's just you got a hit count. You after 5, 6 years, 7 years, you get all those hits, your game is going to start to slow down. It's just how the history of running backs gone. Mm-hmm. There's about 5 or 7 guys you can't put in that running back category because they mean so much to what you're doing. Like Josh Jacobs, right? Pollard, Eckler. Nick Chubb just went down with that big, bad knee injury. Some of these guys, you can't put them in a running back category because they do so much for your offense.
So hear me out on this, because I've been testing the waters with people thinking that there should be a position in the NFL that's the athlete position. And I think like a Christian McCaffrey possibly fits into this role. Those dual threat guys, Deebo Samuel,
right,
who's labeled as a receiver but gets lots of carries. If you had an athlete role and then you franchise tagged, like, I don't know, just similar, close to what the quarterbacks are getting paid, I think that's a possible solution to some of this BS because they are super important. Like, the Chargers saw it in those first 3 weeks.
Yeah, you can put Austin Eckler in the slot.
100%.
You can line him up at a slot wide receiver, and he's going to do just as well. He can catch the ball out the backfield. And so when you got a guy that can do that much, he's not just running the ball, and he's like a one-trick pony. He has a lot in this arsenal. Mm-hmm. And that athlete position is typically called the H-back, really, because you got these guys that are smaller tight ends, bigger wide receivers. You can line them up. They can block. They can go out for passes. Guys like Deebo Samuels who can, take a reverse or a halfback pass. We've seen Keenan Allen throw a bomb last week. And so you have some of these guys who can do so much that you can't really classify them at one position.
Right. And I think that's what the NFL needs to analyze. Like, there is another position in the NFL, and we can't think in the confines of what has been labeled. I mean, like we've talked a little bit before, like, football has just changed. And, the one thing, though, that hasn't changed, and we're going to just stay in between this rivalry here between the Chargers and the Raiders, there's a lot of controversy going on both sides. One of the players that I wanted to touch on with you was Chandler Jones for the Raiders. This morning, he was just arrested. This saga has been continuing throughout the season, right? It started off where he said he got locked out of the facility. They weren't seeing eye to eye, him and the ownership. Then he goes on IG Live just yesterday with the fire and talking about how Aaron Hernandez didn't kill himself, and he started bawling. He really opened up, man. And, it seemed like a player that might be a little lost. And I'm sure you've seen this a lot. You've been around football and athletes a long time. What do you really think is going on behind the scenes?
There's somebody that's struggling. And I don't want to call it mental health. I'm not calling it CTE. And everyone need to stop thinking they're doctors. Social media nowadays have created more doctors and scientists and lawyers. And, I mean... Yeah. A lot of these people don't know shit. And 100%. I think that at the end of the day, somebody just dealing with a problem like that, and social media has become their downfall to it. Because back then, if someone's dealing with a problem and they're going through an issue, you can handle it in private. And now you have someone that's struggling with something. I don't know what that struggle is,
right?
But they're struggling with something, and they can pick up the phone right now and do something that's going to go out to everybody. And I stayed away from reposting it or another thing that pissed me off is these people out here is fake caring, right?
Yeah.
And if you're reposting something or putting something out there, somebody's struggling with mental illness or whatever I don't want to classify it, whatever he's going through. You're not helping them. And even though you're saying you're praying for them, you're wishing them the best, you're reposting out there for everybody to see it.
I'm taking
I'm taking out the the gossip media websites. Though they have to do their job.
Correct.
I'm just talking about the other players or former players, current players that's kind of reposting it and saying they're thinking about him. If you really care about him that much, why are you reposting it? Why are you putting it back out there when you know somebody's struggling with something?
Like DMs exist, like those personal messages, like where you can try to connect. I always look at it I used to teach special ed students with emotional disturbance, right? So, kids would go off in class and I'm like, listen, and the friends would see it. You can't judge a person for that 10 to 15 seconds where they lost it, because they're not proud of that either. And whenever you're reposting something like that, you're just reposting what could be the lowest moment of that person's life. And it's something that, people don't really take into consideration. They themselves want the likes and the clicks and the retweets from it, which, what is that called? Fucking gaslighting or
clout?
Yeah. Clout chasing.
Yeah. There's a lot of clout chasing out here. And I don't mind people doing it if that's your business to get that type of media out there. That's your job. That's what you get paid to do by, like TMZ putting it out there, one of these other gospel, that's their job. They got to do it.
Right.
I'm not with a former player, current player, or anybody that's associated with the NFL or football in general to repost that and put it out there because you're not helping him. You're not wishing for him the best. If you did, all of us, we're like 6 degrees of separation. You can anybody that played in the NFL can get a hold of Chandler Jones if they really wanted to, or to get a hold of somebody that know Chandler Jones.
Right.
And so you're gonna repost it. If you really care, go help him. Go do something. Not this fake caring social media for likes and retweets. It's a lot of clout chasing out here, and it's disgusting.
So you're obviously very tied in the fight world. We could do a tight little tie. By you having Lights Out Extreme, are you tied with John Jones at all? Are you like in contact with him and
Yeah.
As I don't know what your relationship to even Chandler was too, but did you see anything like this? I mean, John Jones has fought his demons as well.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to them?
I just whoever's around him, family, friends, or whatever, I hope they just grab him, take care of him. Not these outsider people that's claiming mental health and want to support him from social media, just a hashtag or get some likes and reposts out of it. I just hope the people around him are taking care of him. Me and John Jones had the same publicist for a long time, so I kind of know what's going on in that situation, and I'm hoping hoping the best for him.
Yeah, no, I do as well. How do you think this affects the team the Raiders team going into this week? I mean, you've been in locker rooms where controversy stirred up on the outside, and it really does translate. But I've always wondered, how much does it translate into locker room?
A lot. Not with just Chandler, but they got a lot going on, with the Raiders. And we just seen Devontae Adams come out and say what he said, right, about him not sticking around and waiting around for them to figure it out. I think Max Crosby, I don't know if I've read a report if he actually did it or not, but I saw that Max and a few other guys were upset at what's going on. And one thing I can never really figure out is the hiring process. I don't understand how certain coaches get jobs that have proven that they're not successful. Yeah. And so, and some of these coaches have had really good teams or decent teams and just flat out stunk and bad. And if you find them in another head coaching job, and I'm not saying that Josh McDaniels is a bad coach, but he hasn't won. And so you see him, in a situation where you already got a organization or team that's trying to figure it out. And then you throw somebody in there that hasn't had any success anywhere else. What is that doing? Right? And NFL is a production business. It's everything from the general. People think you're safe. I don't care. Other than the owner of the team, nobody else is safe.
Right.
If you're not producing in the NFL, they will find a way to get rid of you. And that goes from the front office, GM, all the way down to coaches, players, training staff. They will get rid of you if you're not producing.
So the Raiders definitely seem like they're in a bit of disarray. The Chargers are favorited this weekend. In my opinion, and with how loaded the Chargers are, the Raiders do lead the season series, like between the two. I do see like the Chargers going on like a run here where we were talking a couple of weeks ago about the Patriots beating the Jets 15 times in a row. I think that maybe not to that extent, but it's possible for the Chargers to go on a pretty deep run here. Are you hopeful that they can possibly make the playoffs this year off to that bad start? But do you think it's possible?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's funny? I think that a lot of people they get hype over small wins, right? Mm-hmm. Or get hyped too early. Dallas Cowboys just beating the crap out of the Giants, and everybody wants to scream Super Bowl.
Right.
And they had another game, then they end up losing to the Cardinals, right? Okay, well, the Chargers lost to the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. They got 36 points put on them, and everybody's saying, "Oh, this is terrible." Well, Denver went out and put 70 points.
Yeah.
Dolphins put 70 points on Denver.
Yeah.
And so, I'm at the game, I'm looking, I'm like, shit, 36 points ain't that bad. It's like, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, you would like to win those shootouts. You would like to be on the other end of winning. Mm-hmm. And some games, because we used to have this saying that, if somebody catch a pass or block you or do whatever, we say in the meeting rooms, hey, that guy gets paid too. Mm-hmm. And so that you're not going to win every battle because you're playing against a guy that's also experienced in what he does. Right. So you're not going to win every battle. And so with the Chargers, you opened up the season with the most explosive offense in football.
Right.
And you're still trying to figure it out on defense. And they did a lot of things where they were audibling and switching at the line of scrimmage. I think there was too much on the plate. Mm-hmm. You got great players. You make your calls. You're strong in your weeks and let those guys line up and play football. Mm-hmm. So way too many changes there. But then you walk into the season not seeing a lot of the starters during the preseason because a lot of guys don't play. And then you walk into the most explosive offense in football. Mm-hmm. And so, and then if the Chargers won, I'm also not screaming Super Bowl. So it takes about 4 to 6 weeks before we start to really see who's who.
I like that timetable. This was a table question that I asked like a sports bettor. I was like, at what moment in time, and he's like a sharp sports bettor, I'm like, are you confident in a team? And he said just week to week, which I thought was a little bullshit. I thought he copped out of that question. I do think 4 to 6 weeks gives you an accurate representation. If we see the Broncos continually quit week to week, and we're going to fucking skip right into this. Shawne, you were paid for your craft to perform every fucking week. I think the Broncos quit last week. Like, I legitimately saw plays where players were taking it off. Did you feel that way?
I think it's a lot bigger than that.
Do you think it was Sean Payton
I think
has completely lost him?
I think it's a lot bigger than that. And Sean Payton's a great coach.
Agreed. I'm a Saints fan.
He's great. And I know Sean. Sean's a great coach. Great. I think coaching in this era may have passed him up.
Oh, fuck.
And
like
so,
Urban Meyer situation?
Yeah, and so what I mean by that is when he called Russell Wilson out and said he wanted him to stop more so being a politician and go out and play football, stop the whole kissing baby shit, right?
Right.
He said what we all thinking. Everybody, maybe even the teammates. We've all seen the same thing. Like, dude, just stop this shit, play football, man, and get after it. Get back to winning like you used to do, right? You can't do that because so many of these guys nowadays are caring more about their image and social media and how you put them out there, so it's embarrassing.
Right.
So, and I figured this out. This is a combination going on. Either the team doesn't want Sean Payton there, they don't want Russell Wilson there, or vice versa.
Right.
And anytime you get 70 points hung on you, you gotta try. I'm speaking from experience. Mm-hmm. You have to try to do nothing. You have to try. You have to literally say, I'm going to go over there and let that guy score, and I'm going to give the worst effort I can possibly give.
Yes.
In order for you to get 70 points on it. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, everybody's with this whole sportsmanship participation awards, I'm kicking that field goal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm breaking the record.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know what? If you let me score 70, I got to break the record now because you don't respect yourself.
100%.
I'm kicking the damn field goal.
Did you see that some of the owners, like, there's rumors that, like, spreading, like, that wasn't okay, like, that wasn't cool. There's some NFL GMs, and this was a clip.
What wasn't okay?
Them putting up 70. Like, dude, I know. It's soft-ass shit. I don't think it's Sean Payton. It could be Russell Wilson, because that's the constant. How do you feel about this? I always say, in order for your team to be successful, you need to have the healthy triad. Great GM, great head coach, great quarterback. If you have all three, you have a chance to win a Super Bowl. Are you a firm believer in that?
100%.
Okay.
100%. And the reason why I agree with that is because we put so much emphasis on the quarterback position, right? And we put so much emphasis on the talent of a GM, how he assembles a team. And what was the last one, the coach, right?
Yeah.
For example, I believe that Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes, they're going to be a tandem for a long time.
Agreed.
As long as they are together, right? Same thing with any quarterback of Justin Herbert or Josh Allen. If you got a good head coach, GM, quarterback, you're going to win some football games for a long time.
Yeah, and I think the Dolphins have finally found it. I mean, I know we can't go crazy thinking that they're going to win the Super Bowl. For the love of Christ, this proves our point that the Broncos quit. They're not even favorites versus the Buffalo Bills next week. Like, if that team was so fucking explosive, you figured they would at least go into Buffalo and maybe be a point favorite. And I know it's going up north. You got that home field advantage, but do you think that the Dolphins hype is somewhat real? Because they have put up a lot of points this season. When the Saints won their Super Bowl back in 2009, they did a similar thing. Like, some offenses are just hot.
Anybody follow me on social, I always go back with other team fan bases. It's my favorite thing to do. I mean, because I just actually really enjoy the engagement of the fans in general.
Right.
I've always have. Even when I played and I got a sack in somebody else's stadium, they booing me, they're saying the craziest shit under the sun. Like, I enjoyed all of it and the back and forth, because that's why the game is great, because of the fans and what they bring to the table. And I was saying a little bit about Tua
on some comments?
Yeah, on social media. And the Dolphins fan lit my ass up. I mean, I thought the Raiders fans was bad. Yeah. Dolphins fans are right up there as far as how aggressive they are. And, you know, you got the thing we say, you fuck around and I found out, right? But, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, nobody's ever knocking Tua whether he can play or not. It was always about health. Like, everybody knows that Tua can go, that he can play. I'm not anybody surprised at what they're doing right now with McDaniels down there, like the points and how well they're playing. You don't know football. Like, Tua can go. Tyreek can go. Wilder, they got a Phillips on defense. They got a Wilkins. They're stacked, right?
Right.
I'm not surprised one bit at how they're playing. If Tua stays healthy, they're going to win a lot of football games, period. But I definitely found out about social media, man. Them Dolphins fans.
Hey, you got to find that comment and screenshot it for me, and then send it over. I'll put it in this. I want to see how you found out a little bit. So we talked about the Broncos quitting. My last thing I want to touch on is Coach Prime and what he's doing for college football. Is this the most hype a college football season has been in 20 years? Like, more people care about college football this year than it seems in the last 2 decades.
No question about it. And just to kind of backtrack that. So before Coach Prime got the job there, everybody's reaching out to him, and there was a lot of BS, a lot of people that not real offers, and say, hey, we want you to come here, but it wasn't real offers. And my boy Jeremy Bloom had reached out to me and asked me if I can get in touch with Prime, and so I kind of linked them two up, and I reached out to Prime. I said, dude, bro, I think this thing is real. I think they want to make a real offer. And so that's how that thing happened.
So you were
listen, I'm not taking no credit, but this is Deion Sanders, bro. Like, coach, you know what I mean? Like,
he'll get a hold of whoever.
I think that my role in that was just kind of giving the stamp that it was real.
Right.
So, I mean, so many people was reaching out to Coach Prime just in general.
Right.
Everybody wanted him to come there when he left, when he's leaving Jackson State. And he was getting so many offers, and a lot of it was BS and not real, and people just kind of shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
And so when Jeremy Bloom reached out to me, and I reached out to Deion and let them know that thing was a real offer and it's a real possibility. Next thing I know, like 2 weeks later, the deal's done. And so, I'm not taking I can't. I just can't take any credit from that. I just was glad to be a part of just connecting.
So will we be seeing you at one of the games here soon?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a Terp forever.
I know. So I'm like,
they're different conferences, and I ain't worried about it.
Yeah.
But I'll be I'm going to two or three Maryland games this year. I'll go to, and I'll go to a Colorado game.
That Tua's brother from Maryland.
Yeah.
Special.
Yeah.
Special. Where does he rank in Maryland quarterbacks of all time?
He's up there. I think he just passed the most passing yards ever, like over 8,000.
God damn.
Yeah. No, he's special, man. Like, he's different. I think he's better than his brother.
Whoa. So do you think is he a senior this year?
He's
Yeah. So he may get that extra draft boost. You know, brother being in the NFL, you get a little extra push. Do you think the same thing's going to happen for Deion's boy? I always think for Shedeur, like, just him having that last name is good enough for a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, yes and no. Maybe at a different position, possibly, but at the quarterback position, you got to play, and you got to be first-round caliber. And again, you know, the only first of all, I think that Coach Prime is doing exactly what he's supposed to do for Colorado. He's done more for them than they've ever had in the history of the school, ever.
Yeah. His
job is to create mayhem down there with celebrities, social media, like everything. That's it, because that's his recruiting tool.
100%.
That's his recruiting tool. That's why he's going to get some 4- and 5-star recruits in there. But I think more importantly, everybody's making a big deal of how he's going about and doing it. He's doing what he's supposed, why they brought him there.
Right.
And I never thought that they were going to win more than 5 games anyway. So if they win 5 games this year, that is a big come up.
Yeah.
The eyeball, because and Deion said this himself, they're about 7 or 8 dogs away from being really good. And we'll talk about the interior linemen.
Yep.
And so, and if you're an opposing coach, like Oregon, everybody's making a big deal, like, oh, he's looking for clicks. I didn't know I've never heard of Oregon's coach. I never heard of Oregon coach before this back and forth, right? Before this moment, you know. But I like him now. And everybody's talking this, but I like him and his philosophy. He stood up. He's saying also what he needs to tell his team in order to go and win. Because mind you, there's a big recruiting battle going on in that conference now.
100%.
So all the coaches know that Deion is going to get the options to go after the top guys, top recruits.
Correct.
So they have to do, and they have to say, even when the Colorado State coach came back and said about the glasses,
you have to do it. Like
If you don't do it, you seem like a pushover.
Yeah.
And I expect every coach that plays Deion to match his energy.
100%.
They have to. They have no other choice, or else you're just going to get bulldozed over when it comes to recruiting.
Those first 2 weeks did it. Those first 2 weeks with like they were getting those 2 coaches. You can feel a little lack of energy. I mean, TCU that week 1. I mean, they were just in the national title game, so they were coming in thinking their shit don't stink, and you know the coach I think felt the same way. Colorado has a very difficult slate coming up here. I think out of their next 7 games, they got 5 teams that are ranked. Okay, you said if Deion can get to 5 wins, I believe their win total for the season was set at 3.5. Do you think they're for sure going over? They're gonna get at least 2 wins here.
I think they'll get 2 more wins. I had him winning 5 games coming in, which is a big jump from the 1 game they won last year.
Yeah,
and so that's enough to build on. They just have to stay competitive.
Yeah.
If they stay competitive, it's going to give him an opportunity to get the recruits and the guys that he wants. If they start getting blown out and just thrown all over the place, it's going to hurt them. And, you know, Coach Prime been in the spotlight for 30 years.
He's familiar with the ebbs and flows.
Yeah, so the people that's attacking him will say something. You think he don't know that this is coming?
Right.
He already knew that. So he has to cause as much attention to what he's doing as possible, win, lose, or draw, whatever that looks like.
Right.
And so it's going to give them a better opportunity if they can go out and be competitive.
It's a fine, delicate balance these head coaches got to play. Shawne, you have lights out fighting. Tell us when your next fight is. Fill us in on all that fun details.
Yeah, we got a huge fight coming up Saturday, October 7th in Long Beach.
Beautiful.
You can get your tickets at lightsoutxf.com, and also we'll be live on Fubo TV, Fubo Sports. If you guys don't have Fubo, get it. They got a bunch of other cool programming and leagues and stuff over there. But this one we got is our biggest one.
Yeah.
Alvin Morales, who had a short stint in the UFC, is fighting Musa Tolliver. And what's funny with these two is I trained and sparred with both of them before in the last couple of years. Black House down there, the Body Shop with Antonio McKee down there with Musa. And so I trained with all these guys before, so I know that there's some bad
what's
blood.
coming.
Yeah,
you know what's coming.
Yeah,
Styles make fights.
Yeah, Styles makes fights. Tommy Aaron, who is Tony Ferguson's guy. Tony comes out to our fights. But just all in all, AJ Hodgkins. He played linebacker at Oregon, and he played with Herbert.
No shit.
So he has it's his second or third amateur fight coming up. I'm telling you, watch this dude. We had 3 fighters to pull out and didn't want to fight him.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we had 3 fighters to pull out, didn't want to fight AJ. So we finally got somebody to agree, and they're with it. But my goal in this thing is there's a bunch of former athletes and football players out there that's looking to scrap.
Yeah.
There are. We started to see more Le'Veon Bell, Pete Adrian, and Frank Gore, who I thought looked pretty good too. But there's going to be more this transitioning. And right now I'm in talks with probably about 7 different guys from the XFL and NFL that are looking to sign with Lights Out Extreme Fighting. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just spitballing ideas here, and I'm mad I'm even saying this on air. But are you setting up for like a Vince McMahon, I'm coming in for the title, like after one of the championship fights, and then you actually fight a champion to see who is the Lights Out champion?
No, it's like fighting a boss on a video game, right?
Yeah, no, dude. That's why I'm.
No, I mean, honestly, I try to encourage a lot of these former guys to pick up some kind of sport, combat sport, whether it's Muay Thai, boxing, MMA, rolling, jiu-jitsu, whatever that is. Get in the gym, because I think it does something for your mental. I think it does something for just staying disciplined and staying active. And also too, man, when you get done playing, like, you miss the hell out the locker room.
Yeah.
And, one of my biggest, I guess, joys of being in this sport and doing what I'm doing and running what I'm doing is I get a chance to be around the fighters. These guys, they keep you young because they talk shit like no other. And, me sitting back and, kind of with the promoter hat on, I'm like, hey, y'all want to.
Oh, you're still doing what you did back in Maryland. If you haven't listened to the first episode Shawne was on, that little story that you told about your friends fighting and you being the instigator, it's still one of my favorites. Still one of my favorites. But Shawne, thank you for coming on today, and we'll see what happens with this Chargers-Raiders game.
Yeah.
I think this is the first possibly of like 13, 14 in a row for the Chargers.
Yeah, I think so too.
All righty, brother. Take us out there, Mr. Miguel.